Hello to anybody that's
hmm
listening. My name is Cole, or colemancheu. I've been doing a review of Super Mario Brothers for the past summer, and for the very final part of my review, I decided to find somebody who worked on the original run of the show. And I happened to find somebody. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. This is Kevin Chamberlain, best known for playing Yoshi on Super Mario Brothers.
All right. Well, thank you for doing this interview, Kevin. It means a lot to me. You know, somebody with 51 subscribers can't really find. I didn't expect to actually get a hold of anybody. I tried asking on their Discord server, but nobody wanted to respond. So then I found when I was doing research on my project for the review, I saw that you had done a review on it. So I just kind of tried to see if you had a Twitter or something, and I just kind of contacted you and see if you would have been interested.
Uh,
All right. So I have
and here we are now.
yeah. You cut out, so just say that
Oh,
one more time for me. Sorry.
well, here I am. So here we are now. So
Yeah. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got a handful of questions for you. You can be, as detailed or as undetailed as you want, depending on the question. It's all up to
okay,
you. If you don't feel comfortable saying something, that's totally fine. I won't hold you against it.
all right, good.
But if you have something to say, just feel free to say it. You don't have to stop yourself if you have
I'm
something
sorry,
to say.
what?
Oh, you don't have to stop yourself
Okay,
if you have something to say. So
all right.
let's start with the first question.
Okay.
So, what was it like playing Yoshi on the set of Super Mario Brothers? Like, I understand that the people that you worked with were more or less amateurs in what they did. I do know that some people worked in theater for a short period of time. But when you were on set with them, like, what kind of directions were you given, or like directions other characters were given if you
What
were
kind of
around them?
direction? What?
Oh, what kind of directions
I'm
were
sorry.
you given on the set when you worked on it?
Okay. Well, for me, playing Yoshi was quite a good opportunity, and it actually seemed kind of fitting for a number of reasons. One, because Yoshi was like one of my favorite characters in the Nintendo franchise. In the Smash Brothers games, I'd often pick him to play, and plus I got an appetite like a Yoshi. My stomach's bigger on the inside than the outside, and so the opportunity to play Yoshi was actually was pretty nice, and uh, I had pretty much seen Super Mario Brothers because I had already seen Richie's videos like way back since the Arthur versus the Druids versus the Grail trilogy he did back in 2005. If you've seen my Roots of Alvarez videos on that, you'll know more about that.
Okay. So, like, when you were working with them
hmm
and you were in the costume and all that, like, what was like something that they would have like told you to do? Like
Well,
when I do directing, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I wasn't done. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
All right. So I
Um,
go to. I'll let you go first, and then I'll.
okay. Um, so basically, I'd be given the most basic of directions because the problem with the costume was that with the head on, you could only see like a very small fraction, just like near your toes.
Oh wow.
And I know it was. Let me side note. In the movie Act Two, when Mario sends a letter, it's like discreetly, and it's for Ness. And they have this epic shot of Yoshi running across the field in the distance.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember that.
it was very difficult to hear. As a matter of fact, I remember in one take, I was supposed to run until I heard Richie say cut, but the problem was I couldn't hear him say cut, so I literally ran up to the fence and I tripped.
Oh,
in one of
wow.
those takes. I know it didn't make the outtakes because I think when he yelled cut, he didn't keep rolling on that one.
Oh, then he just stopped it and then you fell. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. So on topic of the Yoshi costume.
Direction on where to look. I'm sorry.
No, continue. You cut out. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I wasn't done. Yeah, I kind of. Basically, I was given, like I said, the basic directions because if I had to do movement, I had to like get an idea of my marks and then see like who am I looking to, etc. And then that was basically done in rehearsal.
Oh, okay. So on the topic of the Yoshi
So, and it
costume.
wasn't that hard really. It was just easy. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. On the topic of the Yoshi costume, did you like make that yourself or did you buy it from somewhere? Do you still own it?
Well, we, I can't take credit for making it at all because I don't have any skills with costume making or anything like that. What happened was I bought it from eBay. Richie had clued me in to where to get the Yoshi costume. And at that time, I was not very savvy with like online orders. So I said, "Look, I'll tell you what. I'll give you the money to buy it even." And they, to their credit, they just said, "Yeah, the costume was mine." And then when we were done with season 5, I sold the costume back to them for about $150 because I felt I needed the money at that time.
Oh wow.
But
$150.
at the time when I did have it, I actually borrowed it for for 3 different occasions. One was where my friend and I went over to a church Halloween function, and I actually did a video about this on my YouTube. And um, oh my God, they had the people of the church actually hung with one hand down. It was that good. And then second occasion was I did a video describing about the costume and then kind of like assembling it bit by bit with the boots, like starting with the body costume, then the boots, then the gloves, and then I put the head on, and then someone would have to put the saddle on for me. And
Oh, okay.
that was a pain in the ass because we either used safety pins or we used like little Velcro things that you would attach. Sometimes the latter worked, sometimes it didn't. Um, Filming the movie Act 1, the football scene, that was a nightmare because it was in the middle of July and I stupidly wore a black shirt for that.
Yeah, I remember you saying that in your review.
I did, yes, and oh God, I feel like I lost 10 pounds of sweat alone on that one.
I mean, I could imagine spending so much time in a costume like that. It's, so let's move on to the next question I have for you that
Uh-huh.
also involves wearing the Yoshi costume. Um,
Yes.
how many times did you have to carry the cast? And was there any times where somebody said, I want to ride Yoshi as a part of the show, and you had to stop and say, I don't think I can do it?
With the latter part of the question, no. But with the former question, okay, the former half of the question, I would say, okay, I remember, I think I did it. The amount of times I had to do that, I could at least count with one hand.
Oh,
But the
okay.
amount of takes though I had to do for it, I lost count. Uh, now, granted, this was not to an excess, like, say, something out of a Charlie Chaplin film. No, but, there were times I'm like, oh, God, like, are we done? There was, however, that one, consolation where in the movie Act 1, where there was the reversal to that one, and that was pretty funny. I mean, that made my day.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Hmm.
All right. So, I don't really have any spin-off questions from there, so we'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
So, how did you meet and start working on Super Mario Brothers, I know that you mentioned that you've been watching Richard's content since the Arthur versus the Druids versus the Grail. But like, did you know him before he started making YouTube content, or did you like just kind of find him on YouTube and then realize that you live near him?
See, the thing is, I met Richie back in my junior high school. We both took the same creative writing class, and find him on YouTube or anything like that. It was pretty much, it wasn't like, oh, I found him on YouTube and then realized, I put two and two together and, oh, this is the same guy in retrospect. No, this was pretty much from the get-go. Plus, Richie has a very recognizable face and voice. So I think on his YouTube was probably, it was either, I don't think it exists anymore. It probably doesn't. I think he had like a series of videos that had his sister Christine playing in it, called Chronicles of Meh, and it's as weird as it sounds. And then there was the Monster Mower videos.
Right.
So, but yeah, we've interacted before in creative writing. You know, his writing projects for the class were actually pretty funny, you know.
Okay.
And so, and plus, he also knew my brother back in middle school. In fact, they even worked together back when when CVS Pharmacy was known as Long's Drugs at the time. And so I remember when someone tried to pass themselves off as Richie on YouTube, I pretty much asked the question that only Richie would know, and caught the guy caught the guy red-handed. Like, yep, you're not the real one.
I'm assuming that you're not going to tell me what the question is.
Oh, the question was, what company did you and my brother work for when you were in high school?
Oh, and if they didn't answer Longstrom's, then you know that wasn't him. Okay. I thought it was like
they didn't answer Richie.
Yeah. All right. So before we move on to the next question,
Yes.
you are kind of like, when you talk, your voice kind of stops and then it speeds up really fast after a couple seconds. I don't know if that's just because of your internet and you can't do anything about it. I'm just letting you know.
I don't think I can do anything about that, but
that's fine. Like, I can still hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, I can still understand you. It's just there's like some kind of dead zones, but that's fine. I can edit that.
All right.
All right.
The next question.
Yes. So you already answered this one because
right.
you said that you already knew him, so I'm going to skip that one.
Mm-hmm.
What, out of seasons 1 through 5, what is your favorite episode versus your least favorite episode? And this can include the movie too.
Okay. Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Favorite episode, I don't necessarily know, but I do have. Oh, okay. Actually, I take that back. Okay, I do have a favorite episode. It's just, ironically, it's not necessarily my favorite season. My favorite season out of all of them is season 3. Feel free to ask why in a later question. But for now, in terms of favorite episode, I'd say it'd be episode 5 of season 1, because it had great use of silly looking choreography, but like what saves it was the video game sound effects. And I think my favorite little gag takes off his glove and gives Luigi a gentleman's glove slap, and it has that coin sound effect.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that episode. Okay. So I know I asked you this question on Twitter, but I'm going to ask you again for the record.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on, I think it's episode 53. It's the episode where the trifecta is first introduced, and the whole time it's where Mario doesn't have his memory, and he's talking to some random lady, and the whole episode's just kind of completely pointless.
What's the question?
Huh?
So, okay, I agree it was pointless, but I'm sorry. What was your question? You were talking about that describing the episode. You mentioned it was pointless. I agreed. Um, what was the question? I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know what you thought about it, like just the
Oh,
episode as a whole.
okay. Yeah, it was pretty boring. And as for Mario lapsing in his accent, this is not uncommon. Um, hell, I think it was like starting in season 4. Um, there would be occasional lapses like that, and I mean, hell, in season 5, if you look carefully, there's a shot where Austin like literally just had his eyes open as Brock during the take, and then that just like there was like no retake or something like that.
Yeah, I did mention
I'm
in
like, what the hell?
yeah, I did mention in the one that I'm currently working on right now, because this is going to go up before the first half of the final part of the review. But I
Hmm.
did mention that there's some shots where like they're talking to the Blair Bearstorm guy, and he has
Yeah.
the sunglasses on, and if you look really close, you can see Mario and Luigi just standing there, like with the camera. And
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of funny, because it's like I can understand shooting against a reflective surface is a very difficult job, but
It
it
is.
can be done if you're at the right angle. I did a shorts film in high school before I came out to Chicago for college, where I film in the bathroom. And I have the camera positioned at such an angle where you can see my reflection in the mirror, but
Hmm.
you can also see me. And you can't see the camera at all. And, you know, I guess it just seems like sometimes they don't really think those things through, you know?
Yeah. It's like how in the live action, the wardrobe doesn't have a mirror like how it's described in the book. In the commentary, the director pointed, I regret that I couldn't put a mirror on this thing, so because of how difficult it is shooting with mirrors and so forth.
Well, yeah, then in that case, that would be an excusable, it would be an excusable instance.
Yeah.
When it comes, just quick side note, when it comes to adaptations, if you can always change things, but it's just to make them your own. But sometimes, people change them a little too much, and that takes away from the source material as a whole.
Yeah, you can change it, but I always feel like when you do, like you really got to try and make up for that.
No, definitely, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you that
Uh,
I'm sure you'll like. Um,
okay.
what is your opinion on the Darkness as a villain?
Okay, the Darkness started out as an interesting villain, but the thing was, this villain did not have a lot of mileage, for as long as Richie like really overplayed him. I feel like um, Richie fell into. I also feel like Richie kind of fell into like a see Darkness as long as he was, even though he'd been dead like more than once, etc. I think it's just a vanity project on Richie's part, just an excuse for him to wear the eye makeup and dress like that, and it's kind of like. Why was season 5 of Game of Thrones like the Dorne subplot? Why was the Dorne subplot so bad? Well, the reason why that was written the way it was because it was a vanity project for actress Indira Varma. Not on her part. It was just Benioff and Weiss. They wrote it, and they just wanted to show off her emoting angrily.
Okay.
So I'm sensing a similar kind of parallel that basically Richie was just had like a little vanity project for Darkness and just kind of wanted to show off his, bits with Darkness and to ham it up. No offense, Richie. And he also he he also enthusiasm how the character kind of override the pre-existing logic within him. Like, okay, for example, like he was basically, Nox Decius's, servant that was trying to, overpass him, but failed. And the next thing you know, they just like elevate him up to like uber badass, and like he's not that powerful,
Yeah,
And it's like how Brad Meltzer overdid like misunderstood Deathstroke in Identity Crisis. It's like, okay, yeah, Deathstroke is a good fighter, but he's not that capable of like holding his own so easily against that many members of the Justice League. I mean, when the Teen Titans fought him in their comic run, I mean, yeah, that's on him and Frosty be on his toes, and then it's similar to it's basically called Villain Sue. It's like it's the villain equivalent of a Mary Sue kind of thing, or a Gary Sue, whatever term you prefer. And Game of Thrones was guilty of this too with Ramsay Bolton. Give me 20 men and I can basically uh, uh, deliver a crushing blow to Stannis Baratheon. Oh, bull.
yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. So again, Darkness started out fine because he was like a villain that tried to elevate himself but never could, and that was fine. It was like he had a goal, but like now the goal has like run its course, and it's like, okay, now you're trying to say like, oh, now I'm out for domination. No, you were just basically like you were like the next akin to a Harry Potter villain. I want to revive the Dark Lord.
Yeah, no, I could get that.
Plus,
It's funny.
Richie is also a huge Harry Potter fan, by the way.
I think I noticed that in the unnecessary break in season 1 to talk about the Harry Potter show that I apparently have never seen because it's nowhere on his channel.
Wait, none of his Harry Potter videos are on there?
At least, I mean, I don't remember. When I saw the movie for the first time back in middle school, I remember going through there, and I think the only series from the show that I actually remember being on the channel were the Monster Mower, the Julian Destruction thing, which
Mm-hmm.
is funny enough, it's actually kind of ahead of its time because those Destruction channels really didn't blow up until like a year or two ago when everybody was making videos about tech racks and all that. But
Yeah.
it was YouTube News, the Monster Mower, and the Julian Destruction videos, and those were the only ones that were on his channel, aside from his various skits and music videos, and then Super Mario Brothers, of course.
Well, there was also the Harry Potter videos like Harry Potter and the Homage to Lost, Harry Potter and the Weeping Weasley Wicked Wonder. Try saying that 10 times fast.
But yeah, so what I was gonna add on to what you said about the darkness, and I could understand where you're coming from as the darkness being that kind of like villain Sue or whatever. But it's the thing about a villain is that you can't have a villain be completely evil for the sake of being evil. That doesn't make him a good villain. They have
Mm-hmm.
to have some kind of motivation, some kind of like drive to do what they decide to do. Now, I agree with you in season 2 and 3 or
Yeah.
whatever when Darkness first showed up. It was like, oh, I'm going to surpass Nox Decius, and then as soon as 4, I mean, he should have just stayed dead after the movie, in my opinion, because
Exactly.
they could have done something with the trifecta. Or, hell, they could have just used Ganon for season 4 and 5. That would have been such a better idea.
Mm. Um, Now, the interesting thing about Darkness as far as season 3 was concerned was, as I pointed out in the review, was that it had an interesting theme of whether, of like the nature of evil. Like, okay, for example, Darkness was created from the evils of Nox Decius. And then, on the other hand, then you have Wario, who thought he had to be evil, and tried to be, and then of course was turned to good. So I thought that was kind of a very interesting approach, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I really just, I don't know. I don't really have anything extra to add. I just thought that bringing the darkness back after the movie was a little counterintuitive. And
It really was.
I know you mentioned in on the Twitter that you have not seen anything past season 5, right?
I've only seen like bits and pieces of Stupid Mario World. I've seen little bits of Plumber Night, but I have not seen any of Legacy. I gotta guess. Well, I'm currently writing the scripts for the reboot to History of Super Mario Brothers, at least for the first 3 seasons, and then I gotta rewatch. Then I gotta rewatch them. Rewatch those seasons. Like, okay, I talked a little bit about my process in History of Super Mario Brothers, the interactive adventure. Basically saying, okay, I download and watch the entire series, the entire season. Okay. I then write up a synopsis summarizing this. Then I have to watch the next season, and then I got to repeat the process with the first one. So that way, if there's anything that comes into play from the next season, then
Okay, yeah, I see.
or whenever it's relevant. It's basically similar to the process of how Linkara does History of Power Rangers, which was the inspiration for my take on this with Super Mario Brothers.
Well, I mean, who better to do a review about Super Mario Brothers than somebody who actually worked on the show?
That too, yeah.
But yeah, no, I could understand that. See, my creative process when it comes to reviewing the show is that I sit down and I take note of each of the major plot points, and I kind of, if I have like a comment to make or something, I do it while I'm watching the show. So I know, like, in case I catch something, I can go back and revise it. But I do entire seasons at a time, and I think you split yours up into a couple other ones. But I know you're rebooting it, so I can't like, I can't like make a comment because you're probably just gonna fix everything.
Well,
Anyway.
the only part 4 was divided into 3 parts was because the reason why my summary on season 4 was divided into 3 parts was because at the time YouTube stupidly took away my ability to do longer uploads, so I had no choice but to divide it into 3. I hated the fact they did that, and then shortly thereafter, I then got back my ability to do longer uploads. I'm like, you bastards.
Yeah, YouTube can be a crock of shit sometimes.
Understatement of the year.
Right. No, the only
Yeah.
reason I split my final part into 2 videos, which people are going to watch this before the first part comes out, so they'll get to understand the reason why, is because I've noticed that when I did the extremely long review of the movie that was 50 minutes long, like I mean, would you sit down and watch a video that's 50 minutes long in one sitting?
Actually, you'd be surprised.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so some people do, but the views on those videos are significantly lower than the views
Yeah.
on the first video, which is only 30 minutes long. Plus, it makes it easier to edit for me if I can do just a chunk at a time, and then I can always go back and refix anything that I fuck up. Like, for instance, when you commented on the first part of the Super Mario Brothers review, you mentioned that, Ness was played by Tim, which I didn't know Ness was played by Tim until I went into the movie.
Yeah.
Which they did a really, speaking of that scene, just this is a quick side note. I mean, you don't have to say anything about it, but they did a really shitty job about pointing out that the kid in the yellow was Lucas. Like just a simple name call out. Oh, yeah, sorry. So what I was saying is, they did a really poor job about
Actually, when I what?
No, I was just repeating the question.
Okay. When actually, when I did review season 2 and they showed Tim, I actually did mention I did say that he was played by Tim Muller.
Yeah. When you commented on mine, I had not known that until I worked on the second part of my review. So
Okay.
that was just something that I was mentioning. So we've already done.
Mm-hmm.
We've already gotten to opinion of the darkness. We're just about halfway done.
Okay.
Here's a fun question for you. Were there
Sure.
any characters that were intended to appear in the original run of the series that did not make it because of like acting conflictions? You know, like some people couldn't show up. Because I've noticed, this is a bit of a comment. I noticed that characters will kind of drop in and out of the show based on whether or not they're available for filming or if, you know, Richard stops talking to them or something like that.
It's funny you should mention that. I actually remembered Richie's FAQ video, the first one, and he had a similar question to that, and he said actually an entire plot line was dropped because an actor couldn't show up, and originally they were going to have Cloud in season 2. And there was going to be a big rivalry between the two over like who was the better swordsman. But unfortunately, the actor didn't show up. In fact, I don't know the costume. I don't even know if they had much of a good costume, let alone a proper Buster Sword. It's anyone's guess at this time. But that's one such example that I can think of, at least back during the original run. And then, who else? Now this doesn't technically count, but I remember Richie originally had the idea of doing a Yoshi spin-off video similar to like the Ash and Brock videos that there were 2 of, and one of which introduced Gary Oak before he was like formally shown in season 3. And sadly, it never came to fruition, and I actually had some pretty funny ideas, like Yoshi goes to the mailbox, and he gets like a letter from Bowser. It's supposed to be like an invitation to like a Yoshi party somewhere, and then suddenly he remembers the Smells Like Bowser song, where the lyric goes, "He don't like us, 'cause we're she's in the summer," and then that makes him realize, like, nope, never mind. Like, not going there to that summer party.
Yeah, that's interesting. Speaking of costumes, did you knew that the Link costume was made out of the graduation gown, right?
Yes.
What was your opinion on that? What's your opinion on that? Because
Honestly, I think it was pretty resourceful for Richie to, you know, whip up something like that. I mean, hey, it's better than if graduation gowns. God knows what happens to them afterwards. Hell, I don't even know what happened to mine after my graduation. It was just like goodbye and good riddance.
yeah, I guess. I mean, you know, some people hold sentiment to those. I guess. I was
Well,
just curious. I was just curious what your opinion was on it, but I do think that Link had one of the best costumes in the show so far.
he
Because
did, yeah.
it seems like they were just kind of, when they were making costumes and stuff, like I could understand not being able to have an accurate DK costume because, you know, it's Donkey Kong. So just getting a gorilla and putting the tie on it, that's understandable for
Yeah.
very, for, you know,
I even
amateur
in my
filmmakers.
season 4 review when Donkey Kong returned, I'm like, oh my god, Donkey Kong's back. I mean, it took them that long to get another gorilla costume. I mean, okay, sure, the face doesn't match like what we saw in the original, but like I care, he's back.
Yeah, like DK was one of the better characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though there was a lack of DK in the show, like he was there and then he was gone and then he was back for the Pauline thing, and I don't like season 4. I really do not like season 4.
4 or 5.
4, yeah. That is a question I was going to ask you, and I'm sure I already know the answer to it, but I think we could both agree that the show was better pre-movie.
Yes, like I said, my cutoff point is the movie Act 2.
Yeah, so like if you want to be done with the entire series, just stop after the movie.
Yeah, because the movie was supposed to tie up all the loose ends, not, you know, create more of them.
Do you think that they ran out of villain ideas because they just kept resurrecting people in the end after the movie? It was like,
Well,
oh, you think that Darkness is dead? He's back. Pauline, yeah, her too, I guess. I don't fucking know.
yeah, and I mean, I didn't complain about that with Link in the movie because, as I said before, as I said in the review of that movie, it's basically video game characters and logistics in the real world, so it would make sense for something like that to act like a one-up, like in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it seems like that is a comment that I had that I do mention in my season 4 review, is that they kind of explain the fact that they are video games in the real world, but then sometimes it's like there's the questions that it has. Sometimes some of that shit doesn't mix. Like, for instance, when they get evicted, you can't pay in gold coins. Gold is one of the most valuable fucking resources in the world. Like, I mean, you don't have to do a whole
Exactly.
video
Okay.
about trying to find rent.
Exactly. And it's like it wouldn't have been so bad if if there was like a different kind of reason,
Yeah,
like
it's like maybe.
like okay, let's say um um actually, it would have made much more sense that because they haven't been to the Mushroom Kingdom, they haven't collected as many coins. So
And it's kind of funny, too, because when you.
it's kind of run out.
Yeah. Like, a big question I had when I was watching the show is, if they're playing video games based off of their adventures, who's getting the ideas for their games? Are they like in the video game world? Do they like shoot the game like a movie or something? Or like how does that work? Because they're sitting there and they play Smash Bros. And they act like it's completely normal. But who the fuck made Smash Bros? If Mario and Luigi are in the real world and they are the actual Mario Brothers, don't you think that passers-by would notice that it's them? Or do they think that they're just cosplayers or something? That's not explained. It just like an explanation would just make more sense, you know?
I surprisingly, even though I've analyzed a lot of things in Super Mario Bros., I surprisingly never got into that because I kind of felt like don't try to wrap your head around this too much. It's like it's almost like a Chinese riddle.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, even like fucking Wreck-It Ralph did something like that. It's like, oh, the characters have to stay in their own game or something like that. Like, there's a world that's built around it, and it makes the show that much better if you explain the rules of the world. If you don't
Yeah,
explain the rules of the world, then it proves that anything can happen, and
yeah.
sometimes that just doesn't make any goddamn sense. But when with the characters in the video game world, they too can make gripping social commentary about the lack of Wario Brothers and New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Am I right?
Yeah. Um, I have a little theory around this, but the problem is if you have to rely on someone like me to make a theory about this, then yes, they haven't done their job right in terms of storytelling. But I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this one out there just for the hell of it. I think that okay, when they're in the Mushroom Kingdom or whatever, the realms of their video games, okay, it's basically as is like from the video games. But then when they're in the real world, they're not in the real world where their games don't exist. They're in basically our real world, and yeah, it's just more of a paradox. I admit. I'm like, hell, even my theory's kind of falling flat on its face. It's not holding much water. I'm like, I gotta give it more thought on this one. But suffice to say, um, it is pretty funny. Like I said, episode 9 was probably like one of my favorites. It's alive where they try to pitch the idea of a video game based on their exploits, and of course it gets projected flat.
But then you gotta think like there is the games that exist. So I get that it's just a joke, but then I guess in the context of the world, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then there's also the comment that Mario makes to Pauline at the beginning of season 4 that makes no sense too, because Mario mentions 1981 like it's a real event, which is the release date of Donkey Kong. If that's the case, then shouldn't Mario be older than a teenager per se? Or does time move slower
That's
in the
another thing
Mushroom
I should
Kingdom
probably
or something like
address,
that?
and that actually might hold some water because there is such a thing as time dilation. As a matter of fact, Matt Pat from Game slash Film Theorists explained about, okay, why is Pauline, not Pauline, Rosalina, why is Rosalina from Super Mario Galaxy so young when she's been away from Earth for that long? And Einstein's time dilation in the theory of relativity, that when you approach the closer you approach the speed of light, time dilates and it slows down for you. So, but the problem is it's hard to apply that to dimensions by itself when they're not traveling like that.
Yeah, because you can't have a dimension be cruising at the fucking speed of light and have everybody be like, oh wow, we are not going fast at all.
But it is possible, however, at least in terms of fantasy, to have, dimension time. Like, okay, I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, and one of the most iconic things was the hyperbolic time chamber, where a day outside the time chamber is a year inside. So basically, you could spend a year in there, and it would just be one day outside. This sort of thing you can get away with in fiction because it's been done a lot. In so many ways. I mean, hell, remember the Chronicles of Narnia? In the Chronicles of Narnia, the Pevensey children had been in the wardrobe. They had been in Narnia for about long enough to be fully grown adults, and then when they come back, they were basically gone for a moment.
Yeah, I'll confess this. I've never seen Narnia. I did try reading the books, but it didn't really fit my tastes.
Okay.
But I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, I do understand that. And if they wanted to go that route, they should have at least mentioned it,
Or make a joke about it, like, wait, Mario, how is that possible? And then, and the irony is that, Richie could have actually joke from, the Lord of the Rings videos he did, before, Super Mario Brothers. Because in, the second one, The Five Towers, when Grandoof, the parody of Gandalf, returns, they say, "You're supposed to be dead." "When I'm not, so you better get used to the idea." "But how are you alive?" "Magic. Satisfied?" He could have basically revived that joke, kind of like how he revived the FedEx joke from the Arthur trilogy. Because in part 2 of the Arthur trilogy, he makes Merlin makes this long-winded joke, and when Morgana says, "What? FedEx joke, damn it, you'll get it tomorrow."
Yeah.
So, it's see, those jokes he can get away with, borrowing because they're so obscure.
And they are also his jokes, aren't they?
That too, yeah, exactly.
Alright, so, we've done that question. I'm not gonna go any farther into the whole dimension thing, because that's where the whole show just kind of collapses under its own weight.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to hear your opinion on that, because that was one of the biggest questions I had when I was reviewing the show, and you never mentioned it, so I just wanted to see what you thought.
There is one explanation. It's a flimsy one, but cartoons get away with this a lot. Flexible reality. The Simpsons get away with this a lot. At least to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So I'm just going to chalk it up to that for now.
Okay. So here's a question about working. I got 2 questions about working with the cast.
Okay.
So my first one was Rich always the director? And when you worked with Rich as the director, would you say that, how did he do? And then after that, what was everybody on the main cast like out of character? Just like, how
Okay.
are they as people?
All right. Richie is a director. He basically did a fine job in, essentially directing. So, I'll give him that.
Okay.
As for what were the other cast, what? What?
I just said okay.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you said something else. Like you. Okay. And then with the other cast members, what were they like out of character? It's a bit of a hard question to answer because I hadn't had a lot of interaction with them, especially outside of filming. Um,
You never like hung out with anybody? You just kind of showed up, played Yoshi, and left?
um, no, outside of filming a lot was Chris Muller. Chris, he and I mean, we get along pretty well. I mean, hell, we could talk. Okay, he's Catholic, I'm Lutheran. We can talk theology and like not be at each other's throats.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that when I was doing research and whatever, I stumbled upon Chris's YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Chris is just like, seems like he's a really fucking nice guy.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when back when Richie and back when I had frustrations with Richie, and I was threatening to, it was since I had owned it at the time, basically saying like, look, okay, we need to talk. And I was basically kind of like showing leverage, like, okay, I'm not fucking around, kind of thing. And Chris was the one who basically did all the talking and persuaded me to, I'm like, all right.
Okay.
So. Although it is funny to know that Stupid Mario Brothers the movie actually kind of prefigured, something in real life. Remember how pissed off Yoshi was at Mario, and like they both reconciled.
Yeah.
It was like I'm like, oh my god, that's just like that in real life. It was like it was ahead of its time.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of stuff in Super Mario Brothers was just like accidentally ahead of its time. Like the fact that the majority of the characters that appear in Super Mario Brothers are actually characters that eventually appeared on the Smash roster.
Yeah.
Because like you guys wanted Cloud to be in the show, and then Cloud appears in fucking Smash. You guys have, what was another fucking Ryu shows up, and then Ryu's in Smash all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I also should also note, episode 7 of Super Mario Bros. Actually had the joke that many people believe led to the creation of the game Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, where Bowser said he ate a Goomba, and Mario says, "Imagine being in Bowser's digestive system."
I mean, that's a fun theory, but I'm not entirely sure that a joke off of a web series would actually give them the idea, but it's a very big
You never know.
coincidence.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
it's a very big
Plus,
coincidence.
Richie also had a lyric in the "Smells Like Teen Bowser," it smells like Bowser song, where he says, "Maybe someday we'll be on Leno." And he actually even did a video talking about that. Like, yeah, the clip with him in the Harlem Shake video actually did appear on Leno. So indirectly speaking, yeah, he was on Leno.
It seems like he's accidentally managed to have things happen to him. It's very interesting.
I know. It's very much like how they say like, oh, the Simpsons had predicted a lot of things like Trump becoming president, um, Siegfried and Roy's white tiger attacking them. That one actually did not come as a surprise to me as a kid.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can't really own an exotic animal and expect it to not come all you.
Okay, when I was a kid, I kind of saw that one coming. Actually, when I was a kid, I kind of suspected that someday that'll happen. And especially after I saw that in The Simpsons, and then when I heard about that, I'm like, called it.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, it's like, what are you to fucking do?
Yeah, it's a fucking
So,
tiger.
yeah, right? like what's supposed to happen? So another question I got for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any ideas when you were filming Super Mario Brothers? And by any chance, did any of them end up in the show?
Excuse me, I had to clear my throat.
No, you're fine.
Okay, oh boy, this is where it gets interesting. Okay. One idea in terms of YouTube news that actually did make it into the episode, into the YouTube news. This was back in the early episodes, when Chris, as the weatherman, sings the opening lyric to "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head." I pitched to Richie. He's saying like, if you have snow, and he actually admitted, actually that's a great idea. I'll use that. Although what I had in mind was not Chris saying the weather outside is frightful. Although that works fine too if you're playing a weatherman. It would have worked much better when he says, "Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow," and it would have been funny if Richie from the Muppet Show where he's like, "Oh, let it work, let it work, let it work." But in terms of Super Mario Brothers, though, I actually did have an idea for. I had a lot of ideas for season 5. As a matter of fact, I actually wanted to have an opportunity to write. Actually, quick side note. Sorry to go back to your previous question. I kind of got sidetracked. Actually, Richie was the only director. He did not let anybody else direct. And okay, now going back to the current question, I actually did want to. I actually did offer to try to direct some of the episodes while they were making their other things. Like divvy up certain responsibilities here, because you eventually kind of have to do that in production companies. And Richie would not. Well, okay, I had that idea in mind, but I never got around to suggesting that because.
What was the idea?
We're not. Well, I'll get to that in a second, but basically, okay. I had this whole idea of like how season 5 should go, and this was, like make up for season 4, and I had this whole idea like planned out, but Richie didn't bother to hear it because at this time. And truth be told, I actually blame Austin for this. I blame Austin for this because when Richie listened to Austin's idea to do the clicking noise and got it way in over his head on this one, actually Austin insisted on trying to do 2 independent films at the same time, and Richie, of course, foolishly listened to Austin with at least the idea of the first movie. Of course, bit off more than he could chew. Of course, since it's, not a hit or anything like that, Richie then grew allergic to listening to other people's ideas. And that's why I'm like, if it wasn't for Austin, trying that at the time, my idea probably might have at least been implemented somewhere in season 5. And so when I found out about that, I was actually really quite pissed. And so when Austin and I no longer became friends, it was really like no skin off my nose. As for the idea of what was season 5 supposed to be, there was an idea of basically trying to have a sprite army. Now, when I say sprites, I'm talking video game sprites, put in from a computer, from any video game. and they basically besiege the whole house, and so Mario and a couple other set of allies basically kind of have to fight on all different fronts, and then Otacon was supposed to be like the eye in the sky to monitor the battlefield from like a safe from the house. But of course, it eventually because I had the idea of Blair. Or maybe not Blair, Scott Masterson, because the idea was Scott Masterson was supposed to like become like a serious like foe, and
I remember that.
I had the idea of that being in mind, and the idea was he like uses a blue shell to like gain the upper hand, and like, and then all hell breaks loose, and so then it's a matter of like, okay, now we got to try and take it back, you know.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better than the season 5 that actually happened.
Wasn't hurt at all. What?
I said that sounds better than the season 5 that actually happened.
At some point, I might actually. I'm planning on doing a video calling like how I would fix seasons 4 and 5.
You know, that's actually one of the fucking questions I have on my list, is how would you improve Super Mario Brothers? That's the question that was right after it.
Okay. Well, this is just basically the basic gist of it. I'll save more on that for the video itself. I'll clue you in.
You can just give me a bit of a taste.
Yeah. So there's the bit of a taste, essentially. It was like the stakes are like really getting friggin' high, and for the first time, they're essentially kicked out of their own house, and it's not even an eviction.
Like even have like characters that could. Well, it was funny.
I actually had the idea of incorporating the character of Bill Reiser from Contra to be like one of the allies that helps Mario in the fight. Because I felt like he'd be like a good kind of foil for a rivalry with Solid Snake, because they're both very similar characters.
Okay,
and
yeah. Would Bill Reiser be a sprite though, or would he just be like
he'd be
Reiser?
a real deal. He'd be a real deal, and as a matter of fact, I was actually planning on playing him myself. In fact, so much so that I actually contacted Lawrence Genovese, the creator of Super Mario Contra Brothers, on YouTube. He played Mario in that series, and I asked him. Actually, okay, damn, okay, because Mario, Luigi, and Bill Reiser are all played by the Gen thing. I forgot which one Lawrence played. I think it was Mario, or I think it was Bill Reiser. I'll have to double check this one. But I actually did contact him back when YouTube did personal messaging, and I asked him, okay, what can you tell me about Bill Reiser? Like, okay, clue me in everything, and that way I can use it as my homework, so that I'm playing the character correctly. If I could play the character.
You know, I mean, even having more characters than just like the Smash roster. Villains. Yeah, like, oh my fucking lord. I can't get over that.
Yeah, no, neither can I.
Speaking of reused villains, I really do not like Blair Verstorm, and I don't like his origin story. Why does the darkness just creep up on him like a fucking episode of To Catch a Predator and is like, you wrote a story that nobody liked. I'm going to make you that character. Like, nobody bullies people over a fucking story.
Exactly. Now, I did point out, though, in Season 4 that when Blair Verstorm was introduced, he should have taken over. Now, I'm not talking about with that origin story. I was like, okay, like, really? This was before I found out what that origin story was. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, dear God. I just felt like, okay, he should have taken over because, in theory, he could have been a much better villain. Because I always stand by the idea that an original villain calling the shots over the video game villains is a lot more interesting.
Like, oh my God, I just had a great fucking idea. What if Blair Verstorm was some kind of entity, or like a person that knows that those characters are the video game characters, and then each character can be controlled by a controller. And then he uses them to control the characters and basically hold them in their spot so they can't retaliate. And then he's just called the player.
It would get a hold of the Power Glove. It would have been a good opportunity to have the Power Glove be like a plot device.
Right? And then he's like, I have the Power Glove. You are nothing. You come from a world where this is like the best thing in the world. You can't fuck with me now because I control your every move with this. And then he like punches the buttons in and he makes them like move around. And he's like, you can't stop me. That would have been so fucking cool. Oh my god, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, because then he would have been like Thanos with the Power Gauntlet.
Right? And then he just kills everybody.
Oh, the Infinity Gauntlet. Sorry. I have to correct myself. It'd be like Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, because like, okay, I had to correct myself because if my Marvel noobness shows, the fans are gonna like rub it in the face.
Whatever. I like the Marvel movies, man, but I mean,
There's a funny joke. Okay, when my friend and I, when we went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy, this was before Avengers: Age of Ultron came out, and when we saw the glimpse of Thanos, and then when I heard the title Avengers: Age of Ultron, I assumed that Thanos was Ultron because he looked like an Ultron. He looked like he had that kind of name, you know.
Yeah.
And when Thanos made his appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy, I whispered to my friend, "Is that Ultron?" And he shot me a dirty look, and like other people heard it, and they gave me this look saying like, "You realize, of course, you deserve to die for that joke alone."
I don't know. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny to fuck with people who like are just very passionate about things.
Yeah.
See, like, I'm not that easily deterred when it comes to, you know, making fun of shit. But I mean, come on, man. Now I got myself all excited over the idea of the player. That would have been awesome.
I know.
And then that would have made a good reason to bring all the characters back. Everybody that died, he resurrects them with the Power Glove. Boom, plot device. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh man, except for Ganon. Oh yeah, I know from your review you said that casting Matt Provincial is the worst idea for Ganon. But I have a different question.
Wait, who said this?
You said this. Remember?
Wait. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, repeat the question. You broke out.
Oh, sorry. No, I remember in your review that you mentioned that you did not. You said, I think you said in your thing. You correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. You said that casting Matt Provincial as Ganon was one of the worst ideas ever.
It was. It really was, because Matt's too short. He doesn't have the build, and his performance was just a blatant knockoff of Voldemort and Palpatine. That's it. And now I would have recommended Brad Oliver to play the part because he's actually taller than me. He's got a stronger build, and oh my god, the face paint on honestly, I took one look at this, and oh dear God, it looks like blackface.
See, that was the question that I was just going to ask you. Did anybody aside from you comment about the fact that Matt dressed up as Ganon kind of looks like he's wearing blackface?
No, I was the only one that addressed this.
When I saw it as a kid, I didn't think anything of it, but watching it again, I was like, wait a second, that doesn't look right.
I'm like, okay, put that in a black and white filter, and it looks like a screenshot from Birth of a Nation.
But, I mean, there could have been a way to go around it. They could have used a lighter color. Because he's not like that. He's not like that algae green. He's like an olive green.
Yeah.
And they could have used lighter face paint to make it work. Like, that's not, like, I can understand messing up on the face paint. I mean, that's, you know, it's just an unfortunate accident. You know, maybe they're just like, oh shit, we shot all this, and somebody who did notice, aside from you, was probably like, what are we gonna do? And they're like, everybody knows it's Ganon, they're not gonna think about it like that, or something. I don't know. I mean, that's just what I thought, but I mean, I could be totally wrong, you know.
Yeah. And God, I still stand by that my point. I'm like, oh God, it's like great. it's like, it's like it's not it's like great. Now it's like it's like now somebody's gonna play like a minstrel show clip.
No.
Sacrifices I make for good taste.
But yeah, so that was like I think if they really wanted to go with the Ganon arc though, they should have just brought him up in season 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, next question.
Yes. Next question. So I'm assuming that you did not work on any of the spin-off stuff.
Assuming what?
You didn't work on any of the You didn't work on any of the spin-offs.
Briefly, like for like maybe like 1 day's worth for 2 days worth for Super Mario World. 1 day for actually no, take that back. 2 days for Plumber Night, and that was about it.
And then after that, you said that you had an issue during season 5 with just not being able to express creativity or something like that. I mean,
yeah, I wanted to try and elevate myself from like not just simply being Yoshi. I wanted at least more of a challenge. And so I thought one of the ways around that was basically, I felt like, okay, since Austin got to co-write, the interactive adventure, I felt like, well, why can't I, have a fair shot? Especially since Austin and I were good friends at that time. We were. I mean, we even had drama class together. That was how we met before Super Mario Brothers even came out.
Okay. And is that when you did the whole leverage thing? Like you're like, I'm gonna take the Yoshi suit home. And when did that happen?
Well, that happened, I believe that happened in October, I think it was 2011. I forget the exact dates. All I know was that it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm tired of like being ignored. So I'm like they're gonna do the one thing you're like, it's like that you would not see coming. So it's like, okay, you guys want Yoshi in season 5, then you guys are gonna have to like negotiate with me. Like,
so it doesn't like from what you've told me, it kind of seems like the negotiation didn't really end up in your favor all that much. It just sounds like you were like, I want to write season 5. Rich said no. You're like, I want to write season 5. Rich said no. You go, I want to write season 5. Chris says, come on, will you just do season 5 with us and not write it? And then you go, oh, okay.
No, not quite like that. That's more of an oversimplification about it. It's just the problem was, see, at that point I was not very good at negotiating. It was one of those, this is kind of like, it was the very first time I ever like tried negotiating, so it took some practice. Like in hindsight, yeah, it was one of those, I feel like I could have done it a lot better. Like, okay, suppose if I had this scenario today, I'd be a lot better at it now.
All right.
It's an example of it seemed like a good idea at the time, and
yeah. And you're just like, fine, I'll do season 5 or whatever. And then
I'll do season.
What? Just out of curiosity, what did you get out of that negotiation?
Practically nothing, really, because it was just basically Chris was kind of putting things a little bit more in perspective. That now he didn't explain to me that Austin was like, the reason why Richie was like so close-minded about it was about like hearing other people's ideas for the season for Super Mario Brothers was because of like how it backfired on him with Austin. He didn't tell me that at that time. He told me that later. And so it was just basically yeah, it was one of those like, God, all right, fine. So
okay. So what happened? Why'd you leave for the last time? You just get tired of playing Yoshi and you just sold him back the suit, or what happened there?
Yeah, I kind of got tired of playing Yoshi, and then actually, hang on. I'm sorry. Going back to the previous question, I did get something I do remember what I got out of it. It wasn't much, but I'm trying to remember like how the character of General came about. It was like basically saying like, look, I want like another character to play outside of Yoshi, and I believe that was where General came into play. Unfortunately, though, General was not a very well-written character. He just basically, in fact, day one of playing this character, I then
You already knew.
realized, I then realized like, oh dear God, Richie's just basically taking lines from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh dear God.
I don't really have anything to add on that. I still have yet to write the script for season 5. I've been trying to work on season 4, but my schedule's kind of been fucked because of my third year of college. I have my directing class, and I have to do 2 productions before the end of October, and then
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of history classes and all that stuff. So that's just been my shindig for the
Yeah.
for the beginning of September and all that.
Yeah.
But that's I do have one more question for you. This isn't on the list. I just want to ask you to see if you've seen it yet.
All right. What?
Did you see the trailer for their Fallout series that they're doing?
No, I heard about it today. I actually just before we started, I actually went onto YouTube and then I heard. Actually, no. I'm sorry, my mind's a little mixed up today.
No,
I'm
you're
like,
fine. You're fine, man.
wasn't YouTube. It was Twitter, and I remember heard that like Richie had tweeted something about Fallout, and I'm not a big. I actually don't play Fallout at all. And so I'm like, okay, is this like a Let's Play or something? And then,
No, it's like a full series.
wow. Okay, well, if Richie does not fall back on the coattails of Super Mario Brothers, I'll give him more credit.
No, I don't think that there's any Mario in it from what I've seen of the series.
Yeah.
But I do think that they have a couple Fallout novels that are official, and the world of Fallout is actually very interesting. If you're a reader, I'd suggest trying to track one of those novels down. The world's very cool. But see, when I saw the trailer, what I was hoping for is I was hoping for somebody to take the spotlight that wasn't Richard. But Richard's the main character. I wasn't surprised, but I had some hope.
This
Seems like
is,
Richard wants to be the main character of fucking everything.
it is, as a matter of fact, originally, I actually did suggest the idea of John Marston from Red Dead Redemption being a character in the 5th season, because I was trying to like
You were trying to find a character to play.
exactly, I was trying to find a character to play, and I figured I could do it. And then Chris told me that he and Richie had gotten into an argument that they wanted to play John Marston, and that Richie is
Both
like
of them?
insisting that, yeah, and then Richie was insisting that he was going to play John Marston. I'm like, him? He doesn't even look like John Marston. He's too short. And now, thankfully, it never happened. It was just an idea that they were cobbling together, and I'm like, oh, thank God, because Richie, I mean, he can cosplay as him for all I care, but like to play him like in this show, I'm like, no, no, no. Like, yeah.
Yeah. There's another question. Since we're on the topic of Red Dead and Rockstar, did like everybody start playing a bunch of fucking Rockstar games when like all of the Rockstar characters started showing up, like Max Payne and Tommy Vercetti?
I don't think so. Um, um,
It kind of seemed out of left field.
I already heard about. No, actually, the reason why Max Payne made his appearance was because he already had a game coming out at that time.
Oh, you're talking about Max Payne 3.
Yeah, Max Payne 3 was coming out at around that time, and so Richie basically kind of wanted to capitalize on that.
So he
And
made Tommy Vercetti and then Max Payne to do their little thing, right?
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I know. So going back upon the whole thing about like Rich wanting to play every character under the fucking sun, A good, like, it seems like the spin-offs and stuff are, sorry, I swallowed air, what the fuck? It seems like, the spin-offs were a bit of an ego trip for Rich. Cause it's like, the Plumber Knight Returns is just like the big, look at me, I'm Mario, it's me, Mario only. Do you care about spoilers for this?
I really don't care at this time, but
Okay, well, to anybody,
I should also note that another reason behind that is because also Richie is a huge fan of Batman. This is also like why he had Darkness starting to act like Joker-esque, you know?
well, yeah, I mean, you don't call something the Blank Knight Returns and not be Batman, you know?
Exactly.
But, no, going back to what I was saying, it's like, um, to anybody who's watching this, if anybody does fucking watch it, I mean, it seems like it, the Mario videos are the most commented things on my channel right now. Seems like people like them. But that's
Mm-hmm.
aside from the point. Anybody who's watching this, you better skip to this time that I put on the screen. You know, to us, we're just talking. But, you know, that's what they say, right?
Uh-huh.
Anyways, no, because it's like, oh no, it's me, Mario only. I'm old Mario only. Luigi's fucking dead, Mario only. It's like
Yeah.
just Mario. All the other, I think like Wario shows up or something, and he's like a businessman now because everybody moved on because the government or something took over, and it's all Koopa or whatever. I don't know. And then
Yeah.
fucking stupid Mario Legacy. Like, the whole thing comes out, and they go through this whole plot point, and it's like, oh, Rosalina is Mario's son from an alternate dimension. In fact, there's multiple alternate dimensions. Did you know that there's fucking, Fallout Mario, and, old Mario, and then there's another Mario that I don't remember. There's like 4 fucking Marios at the end of the goddamn series. And then it finds out that the villain of the entire stupid Mario Legacy is actually Mario's canonical son, who is raised by Ganon. It's just Mario, 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 Mario. Like, goddamn it, dude. Why not have the fucking bad guy be like Luigi's kid or something?
Actually, this is one of the many reasons like why I actually believe the theory that Rosalina may actually be Luigi's daughter.
Because it's an actual change of pace for fucking once?
Yes. Like,
I don't like that.
meanwhile, in another castle.
You're right. I don't know. I mean, I don't like Matt Pat very much, but because I think that his old stuff was really good, but all of his new stuff's just kind of pandering and sad.
It is, but suffice to say, though, I will at least give him this, though, that the Luigi being like Rosalina's father theory, I actually feel like, okay, that has plenty of credence. I'll give him that. I like that.
Well, yeah, that like because he actually did fucking science in it, and he wasn't like this is how it is because it doesn't follow real world logic. Like the whole Phoenix Wright theory, like he's like I talked to a real lawyer, and it's like yeah, but it says in the fucking games that the way that the law works has now changed from what actual law is, so all the shit that he does in the game is totally fucking legal.
Yeah.
It's just like shit like that. Like he just needs to, he just needs to put a little more effort into it.
I agree.
But I mean, that's all the questions I had. I don't have anything else for you. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say to my viewers? All 51 of them?
Um, the only thing I just have to say is that, yeah, I got my own YouTube channel. I've got well over 4,000 subscribers, and currently working on a book series that I'm trying to get published.
All
And,
right. Well, where's
yeah.
your book going to be published on? Is it going to be on Amazon or something? I might pick it up.
That remains to be seen, because part of me wants to still try the um, traditional.
The
If it
traditional
doesn't
route?
work, if it doesn't work, then I'll try the self-publishing route and see where it goes from there. Because I do plan to also adapt it into audiobook format. I also plan to get, a huge familiar name to it that nothing to do with Super Mario Brothers for the record. No one from Super Mario Brothers for the record to read the audiobook either. So,
I mean, that's understandable. Sometimes when you're in the filming and acting and movie sphere, it's hard to prevent yourself from becoming typecasted by stuff.
Exactly. Well, anyway. All right, well, anyway, it was good talking with you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this interview. It actually means a lot to me because
All right.
oh shit, yeah, I never really explained myself, did I? No, I was gonna say it means a lot to me because Super Mario Brothers is like extremely important to me because when I watched that show in middle school and I saw all those bloopers, right then and there I said, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to make movies, and now I'm out here at film school and I'm doing the whole fucking shindig.
That's
When I was
good.
a kid, I wanted to come out there and film the goddamn show. I wanted to be a part of it, man. I thought it was the greatest thing in the fucking world, and now looking back on it, it's not. It doesn't hold up very well, though, does it?
To some degree, I feel like it holds up, at least in terms of being thanked for that initial spark. That's the way I would
Oh
phrase
yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, it's still an entertaining show, but it's not like a. When I thought I was a kid, I didn't see all the plot holes and stuff. But looking back now, it's I'm glad that it was a part of my life because it made me who I was.
Yeah.
In a very weird way. It's like it's not every day that your career is determined by some 30-year-old man in California dressed up as Mario.
Although, to be fair, that was more back when he was like in his early 20s.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad you could do this for me, man. It's actually I was really stoked to get some to hear about what actually went into making the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad I got to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future, man. Because you can't let the chains of time hold you back, or some inspirational quote like that.
I know. This is a quote from one of my favorite quotes from Bob Ross. Is not even on the shirts or any of his merchandise. It's as long as you're learning, you're not failing.
Yeah, those are words to live by. Like
Mm-hmm.
unironically, not like a joke. That is a very good quote.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess it's time to end this. Thanks again for coming on. I'm glad that you could talk to me.
No problem.